One of the ways to deepen your yoga practice is not necessarily to do poses that are more complicated or more challenging, but to hold those poses a little longer. Number one, it helps with building flexibility because even though the muscle fibers stretch and then they stop, if we hold a pose and breathe, the connective tissue also tends to change and soften. So it gives us more permanent flexibility. And the other thing is it's an interesting mental exercise to stay with a pose, to notice where your thoughts go, to notice how you leave the moment, like sitting there holding a twist or something, thinking, how long am I going to stay here? Or what do I have to do this afternoon? So I'll be reminding you, it's a wonderful practice for building mindfulness and building stability. But I did want to introduce a word of caution. If I'm holding a pose and it's too long for you, please know that you do not need my permission to check out and either do something else or just sit quietly and breathe. There's no harm, no foul in that. So let's begin our practice. I'm going to go to my chair and I invite you to do the same. So as I take my seat for my practice, I remember that I am setting aside this time in particular from my day just to do the practice, just to be with my body and my breath. And I let myself get comfortable, but not so comfortable that my muscles collapse. I want to keep a little bit of involvement of the core muscles. So find a way to sit at relaxed attention. What does that feel like to you? Letting your eyes close or looking softly towards the floor. We set aside this time by doing a little centering, focusing on the breath. Just beginning by feeling yourself landing completely in the moment. Feeling the sensation of breath as it comes in and as it goes out. And we check in with the body. We check in with our emotions and our energy. Knowing that whoever we are in this moment is 100% welcome in the practice. Nothing needs to change. And now as you breathe, perhaps letting that exhale extend just a little bit longer. Inviting the relaxation response in the body. As we lengthen the exhale, we tell our bodies and our minds that we are safe and we can be at ease. Let's hold here for 5 more breaths, just like that, staying focused on each and every breath as it arises. At the end of that last exhale, just taking a moment, a pause, just to notice how you feel. Letting your breath return to its natural rate and rhythm. And setting your intention for your practice to be as fully present as you can. Let's join our voices and our energies by chanting the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Om. Om Shanti, peace. May our practice help to bring us peace. Good. So let's begin with some sun breaths, maybe bringing a little internal sunshine to this gray December day. Breathing in, lifting the arms, lifting the head. Exhaling, dropping the chin to the chest. Always warming up the body. So the next time your arms reach overhead, we're going to hold in mountain. So this will be our first holding. You've done this dozens of times, but each time it's different. So as you're holding, make sure you're breathing and checking in. How does this feel? Do I need to separate my arms a little bit? These little micro adjustments as you're holding are always a good idea. Watching the sensation build. Again, reminding yourself that if you need to leave a pose sooner than I am, it's perfectly fine. Can we do 2 more breaths? Breathing in and out. Good. So let's lower the right arm and begin to sweep from side to side. I like to see how much range of motion I can get from my arm and my shoulder. Exhaling as I sweep across, inhaling as the arm comes down. So with the next time that I sweep across, I'm going to pause and begin a little hold here. So again, doing a little check-in. How does this feel? You can hold like this, or you can do some micro movements, little small movements back and forth, just playing with the pose. I always say yoga is too serious to be taken seriously, so let's have fun. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more breath. Good. Now I'm going to take that arm and begin to sweep it around. Some nice big lazy circles. I like to follow my fingertips with my gaze, so that brings a little more of me into the movement. And I'm going to switch it up now and go in the opposite direction. Good. Reaching up with that arm, let the other arm join it as you come back into mountain pose. So with each breath and with each repetition of the pose, notice that it feels slightly different. Everything changes. So I'm going to lower my left arm now and begin to sweep the right. Exhaling across, inhaling down. So are you ready to pause on this side? Let's reach across and pause. So if you've rolled off your sit bones, make sure you're equally plugged into the chair, reaching across, adding some of those micro movements if that feels good. Sweet Pea is now on the floor holding Savasana pose, holding relaxation pose. She does that really well. Good. Ready to draw some circles? Let's do it. So beginning the circle in one direction. You can lean forward. You can make this circle as big or as small as you like. Warming up the shoulder joints. Good. And pause so you can reverse directions. Good. One more big circle here. And then reach up again once more into mountain. Holding the pose without holding your breath. Good. Inhale, exhale, lower the arms to shoulder height. And then touch your fingertips to your shoulders. Inhale, open the arms wide. Exhale, fingertips to shoulders. And again, open wide and close, just like a gate, opening and closing. So this time when I place my fingertips on my shoulders, I'm going to leave them there. And just notice for a minute if your elbows are out from your shoulders or if they've drooped down. If you need to drop them a bit for comfort, that's perfectly fine. Good. And let's rotate to the right. Breathe it back to center and to the left. Drawing it back to center as you breathe in, exhaling to the right, to center, to the left, and center. Good. So now we're going to pretend that our arms are wings. And we're going to draw the elbows together and come into a little bit of a cat tilt here. So we're rounding the spine back towards the chair. And then as you inhale, draw those elbows back. Allow your head to look up. Breathing in. Good. Exhale, close. Maybe your elbows don't touch, and that's perfectly fine. So you just want to bring them towards each other. So let your attention rest on your back body. See how this feels in your spine. Inhaling as you open. Exhaling as you draw those elbows together. Good. And then bringing them out to the side. Good. So I'm going to place my hands on my heart. Left hand on top of the right. I'm going to draw that left arm out to the side, turn my head and gaze towards my fingers, and then begin to twist, keeping the arm level with the shoulders, and bring it back. Switch hands, right hand on top, draw it out to the side, gaze towards the right, and then a little twist to the right. As with any twist, don't over twist your neck. Back to center. Switch hands again, left on top. And we're going to hold here. So arm comes out to the side, and then we rotate back. So again, as you're holding the pose, notice the physical sensations, but also notice where your thoughts go. And if you need to adjust or drop out of the pose, that's fine. Can you still feel your feet on the floor? One more breath in. Let the exhale return that hand to center. Switch sides. Right arm out. Turn your gaze and begin to rotate. And letting yourself hold here. So we're slowing down the practice today to dive deeper. Good. Bring it back. Release your hands and take a breath. So let's move through some sun salutations. We'll do one at sort of a medium pace, and then we'll do two more, slowing it down, so we can really observe how our body feels in each part of the flow. So beginning with hands at heart center, pressing your palms together. On an inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, do a little back bend. Come back to mountain. Open your arms and fold forward. Let that breath go completely. Palms to the knees, come up halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhaling as your arms sweep up. Let's reach it back. Draw the breath into mountain and exhaling back to heart center. So we'll do that twice more, but we'll slow it down. So inhaling, arms sweep up into mountain. Palms can be together, hands can be separate, whatever works for your shoulders. Breathe in and then exhaling, do that back bend. You can look up, you can look straight ahead, whatever works. One more breath. Good. Open your arms and slowly fold forward. Let the forward fold help you exhale the breath. Place your palms on your knees and come up halfway. So in this pose, think about extending your crown from your tailbone. So nice, flat, long back. One more breath. And then exhaling and folding. So reverse swan dive. Breathe in and sweep the arms up. Exhale, reach back. Back to mountain. Hands back to the heart. So this flow of poses becomes like a moving meditation with your breath and your awareness. Let's do that one more time in slow motion. Inhale. Mountain pose. Be as strong and stable as a mountain. Exhaling, reaching back. Open your arms. Do that swan dive forward. Relax your head. Where do you feel this part of the pose? Place your palms on your knees and come up halfway, lengthening your spine. Exhale, let it go again as you fold forward. Good. Inhale, sweep up. Exhaling back. Back to mountain. And returning your hands to heart center. And pause. Excuse me. Good. So did that feel very different than the way we normally do it? So I hope you had some new awarenesses from that. So we saluted the sun. It's time to salute the moon. So let's breathe the arms up again. And remember, if your shoulders are tight, it's always a good idea to give them a little room by separating the hands. If you have the flexibility, Bring your palms together. Good. Take a breath in, and let's arch the body over to the right. Come back through center as you breathe in, and exhale over to the left. Keeping both arms nice and straight. Both sit bones on the chair. Breathe it back to center. Now we're going to do our back bend. Know you can support your lower back if you're having some sensitivity in that area. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to reach back. And if you're holding a little longer, you might need that little extra bit of support. Good. So keeping the head right between your arms, let's fold forward. So this is different than the sun salutation, where we separate the arms. We're keeping the arms linked, diving down like we're doing a nice swan dive into a nice warm swimming pool. Hard to think about this time of year. One more breath if you can manage it. And then let the next inhale be the signal to come up. Good. And half moon to the left. Letting those ribs open, opening to the breath. Breathing it back through center and exhaling to the right. Back through center. And back to rest at your heart. Take a breath. Let's do our seated forward fold, and we're going to do it in stages. And in the event that you maybe don't quite remember how we did it before, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see that as we do it, I'll be moving my feet forward. And each time I advance my feet a little more, the stretch moves further up into my sit bones, into those hamstrings. So I'll be inviting you to hold where you feel the best stretch for you today. But I'm going to start with my feet directly under my knees. Good. And we're going to work this with the breath like a wave. So coming forward with the chest and then bringing it back. Forward and back. Breathing in as I come forward and exhaling as I round my spine back. I'm going to advance my feet just a little bit. But again, if this doesn't work for you, just stay with the first version. I'm looking for the perfect spot to hold. And then one more time, I'm going to advance my feet even a little further, but there's still a little bend in my knees, if you'll notice that. I'm going a little bit deeper, getting ready to hold. So I'm going to hold here. So wherever you are, wherever is comfortable, your hands can stay on your thighs. Bring your hands right to the floor and breathe. Very, very important when you're holding, not to hold your breath. Good. How about 2 more breaths? Good. And the next time you breathe in, let that be the signal to release coming up. Just sit for a minute, place your feet under your knees, and notice how you feel. The noticing is the most important part, as well as the breath. Okay. So let's do a nice twist here. We'll start with the right arm. So stretch that out nice and long, lots of energy, fingertips to shoulders. Exhale, bring that palm to your left knee and left hand to your chair. So the in-breath is an invitation to grow tall in your seat. And the exhale floats the left shoulder back. Let your holding be dynamic. Always breathing, always checking in with how you feel, and noticing if your thoughts wander away. Anchor them in the breath. I'm going to add a cross of the legs. I'm going to cross my left leg over my right. Where do you feel the twist most strongly in your body? Good. And after the next breath, let that be the signal to come back through center. Pause for a breath, and we'll move to the other side. Left arm reaches forward. Good. Exhale, bring that palm to your right knee, right hand to the chair. Create that tall, active spine. And then begin your twist. You might find that as you're holding, a little bit more space for movement is available as your connective tissue softens and responds. One more breath, please. I'm going to cross my right leg over the left. And let's get ready to release now. So breathing in, uncrossing if you're crossed, coming back around to the center. Take a breath. So we're going to move through our Pilates 100. And just as a reminder, I had a really good suggestion from a student that putting both heels on the floor was too easy for her. And lifting both feet at the same time was a little too challenging. So she created a happy medium for herself where she keeps one foot on the floor and just lifts the other. And then halfway through, changes sides. So I invite you to try that if that works for you. I think that was Clara that suggested that. And I think it's a really good suggestion. So extending your legs and either keeping the heels on the floor or one heel on the floor, or lifting your toes and pointing them. We're going to pump 4 times in and 4 times out as we breathe. Again, we're going to be holding at the end of a few repetitions, so feel free to adjust as you need to. Here we go. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. The arms are moving, but the legs are not. In, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. If you have one foot up and the other one down, this might be a good place to switch sides. 2, 3. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. And let's hold. And breathe. Nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth. Feel yourself getting stronger, more focused. One more breath. Can you do it? Exhale, lower the feet, lower your hands, and let's finish up with just another easy forward fold. No particular way to do this. Just let your body melt forward. Let the head relax. Sigh out the breath. Good. And come on up to center. So let's finish up our seated work with Warrior One and Warrior Two. So know when you're doing Warrior One, it might be that your arms get tired. So you could stay in the pose with your lower body and release your arms down. Warrior One and Warrior Two. So either way, that's fine. So I'm going to turn and face the left front corner of the chair, sitting up nice and straight, drawing in a breath. And then as you release it, stepping back with your right foot. Good. Press the left foot into the floor, press down through the heel of your right foot. So we want to take our time to engage the legs, engage the core. So pressing and releasing with that heel. And then holding the press. You can add your arms. And again, if you grow tired as you're holding and want to release your arms, that's certainly an option. Hook into the breath right away. One more breath. And let's move into Warrior Two. So the feet stay right where they are. I'm going to reach my left arm forward and my right arm back. And I invite you to look behind you and see if that right arm is more or less level with your shoulders. Of course, if your arms get tired, you can lower one or both. Gazing off to the left and breathing. Keep pressing through that right heel. One more breath. And exhale, lower the hands. Ooh, and walk the feet around to the front. So I'm sure you're noticing by now that it's a lot of work to hold a pose, which is why I say it's not necessary to do more complicated poses or more challenging poses, just to stay with the poses you know a little bit longer. So let's do both of those on the other side. I'm going to turn and face the right. Take a breath in. And this time the left foot is going to step back. Press into the sole of your right foot. Press back through the heel of the left. Add the arms. Maybe yes, maybe no. This is your practice. Notice where your thoughts go. Notice where you feel sensation. And be respectful of your body. Let's transition now to Warrior Two. So right arm comes in front, left arm behind. Again, check the level of the arms. Take a look behind you. And imagine that you're separating your hands apart from each other. So you're widening across the shoulder blades in the back. Stay with the breath. Once more, breathing in, and allow the exhale to release the arms down, step the feet together, and come around to the front. Good job. Let's come up to standing. So we're used to doing our sun breaths seated. And you can certainly continue to sit for the rest of the practice if that works better for you. But we're going to experiment with doing the sun breath, which is a very kind of basic fundamental movement, and holding it in a standing pose and seeing how our body reacts to that. So let's build our foundation. Nice solid stance. Feet are about hip width apart. Separate your toes, spread them out so you feel really grounded. Relax your shoulders and steady your breath. Steady your gaze. And on the next inhale, begin to lift the arms up. Breathing in and exhale. Palms come down, arms come down. And again, you can turn your gaze up as you breathe in. And drop your chin to your chest as you breathe out. Breathing in. And out. So the next time your arms come overhead, we're going to hold in Tadasana, which is mountain pose. So this is the standing version. Let's check in with our bodies from the ground up. Feet are flat on the floor. Knees are soft. Tailbone is tucked underneath. Shoulders are relaxed and fingertips are lifted. Find your breath. How about one more breath here? Awesome. Exhale, arms float down. And if you like, you can just close your eyes for a moment to notice more deeply how you're feeling. So I'm going to hold on to the side of my chair. We're going to come into tree pose. So balance poses are always a little bit challenging, and the idea of holding a balance pose can bring up a lot of negative self-talk. So just notice when those voices in your head kick in. Also, if you're one of those folks who has available to them that they can pick their foot actually up off the floor, you might want to try a slightly gentler version because we're going to be holding it for a while. Okay, so shifting your weight to the leg closest to the chair, which is your right leg. Begin to release the left foot. Keep the supporting leg soft. Draw the knee out to the side and begin to build your branches. Again, you can hold on to the chair with one hand, or you can release the chair, or maybe a combination of both. If you're holding for a while and feeling a little unsteady, you may want to reach down and take hold of the chair again. And breathing. Can we do one more breath here? Let's try. Good. From here, we'll transition into triangle pose. So the feet separate, comfortable distance, and turn the toes of your right foot so they're facing the chair. Left foot turns in slightly. So let's really focus on the alignment. Draw that left hip back so your body is facing forward. And let's raise that left arm up. We're just going to pulse in and out a little bit, just checking what's going on with this side of the body today. Good. So let's reach over now and hold in triangle. Soften both knees. Release the chair if you like. Adjust your gaze so that you're comfortable and stable, looking towards the floor, towards the horizon, or even up towards the sky. Your choice. One more breath. Good. Let the next breath help you release the pose. And do a little counter stretch here, a little bit of a back bend. That feels good. Sort of like realigning the spine. So let's go into runner stretch from here. The right leg's going to stay where it is, and I'm just going to turn my whole body and my left foot so I'm facing the chair. Again, reminding you that runner stretch is a flat back pose. So when you're coming forward, think about creating length from the crown of your head to the tip of your tailbone. Good. Don't worry about how far you bend over. Good. So softening both knees, taking a breath, excuse me, and begin to hinge. Notice if you lock the knees when you start to bend, so just keep checking it. I'm going to place my hands on the chair. Take a minute to lengthen. Again, you can always come up a little higher if that feels better. Or you can come a little lower. I'm going to drop down and bring my hands to the floor. Head is relaxed. Knees are soft. And get ready to release here, coming up. Maybe a little back bend if that feels good. Step your feet together. And let's do those on the other side. Excuse me. So shifting your weight again to the leg closest to the chair, which should be your left foot. Softening that knee, separating the feet nice and wide. Always beginning in good standing alignment before you even begin the pose. And begin to lift the right foot. Draw the knee out to the side. And again, notice each time you try to tighten the knees up. So keep those soft. Build your branches if you like. When I was doing yoga with the children this Sunday, this was our Christmas tree. And we were the little star on the top. And breathe. And you're going to notice that your body's going to move. It's little adjustments, little wiggles and jiggles. That's what the body does to maintain balance. So let's get ready to transition now into runner stretch. So arms are going to come down. And I'm going to step my right foot out. Triangle first. Left foot faces the chair, right foot turns in slightly, and the right arm reaches up. So let's just pulse in and out. Just reaching. How does this feel? So this time I'm going to hold in the pose. Nice long side stretch. And I feel comfortable enough to release the chair. I invite you to join me if you like, or not. When you're holding a pose, the first thing to do is find that regular, steady breath. Very important. Good. So let's inhale now, bring that arm up, over, and down. A little bit of a counter stretch. Good. Ready for straight-legged runner stretch? Here we go. So body and feet both face the chair. Flat back pose, take a breath in, and begin to reach. Keep checking in. Can I go a little further? What would feel absolutely perfect this morning? I'm going to make my way down to the floor. Feel free to join me if you like. This is just a suggestion, not a must do. So again, soften those knees, don't lock them. Good, and inhale, let's come up. Oh, step your feet together and take a breath. Nicely done, let's take a seat. So that's another way to approach your practice, is maybe to do a few less poses. It doesn't matter if you go through a long routine, but just taking 2 or 3 poses that you enjoy doing and playing around with the holding, seeing how that feels in your body. So let's just sit for a moment, close our eyes, or gaze towards the floor, and no need to breathe in any particular way. And just notice your feelings. See if there's any new awarenesses that come to mind. Being grateful for this opportunity to explore body and breath. And as you sit and breathe, I'd like to share a poem with you from Dana Falls, who's a Kripalu yoga teacher. It's called Follow Truth. The Buddha didn't know that his choice to be himself would roll through the pages of history like a rogue wave. All he did was sit beneath the Bodhi tree, intention fixed on awakening. And when the light flowed in, he offered it back as the fruit of all his practice. We each act without knowing how the ripples from our pond might touch another, what the consequences of our freedom might be, or where the choice to follow truth might lead. So, opening your eyes if they're closed, bringing your hands to prayer position. And let's join our voices once more to close our practice with an Om. Deep breath in. Om. Om Shanti. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from fear. And may all beings everywhere know peace. Namaste. Jai Bhagwan.